Hey everybody, it's Andy here at Montoli, and we're back for another Vintage League, and we're getting ready for the Vintage Qualifier this weekend. Fortunately, I'm not going to be able to play in the Vintage Challenge tomorrow, which is Saturday. Today's the 29th of September, and this is what I'm contemplating playing. Now, the most popular deck in Vintage right now, I think by a reasonably wide margin, I don't have the data to back this up, but certainly by my own opinion, is the Lurrus decks. And the blue-black Bowmaster deck is everywhere. And I think for good reason. It's a very good deck. And I think this deck has some game against it, despite I am somewhat concerned about the presence of Bowmaster, as it can blow up a lot of my little guys here. Um, we do have some answers to it, and we've got the dismembers on the board, and I've contemplated playing some cheap removal to be able to combat them, but I don't think that's really what our deck is supposed to be doing, or do I think it needs to be doing. The idea behind this deck is it's got not the greatest discard equity in it, so you're wanting to use your Bazaar really only once when things are going well, and then you want to start casting your spells afterwards. That's the idea behind the deck. And I have opted to move away from Hogak. The style recently has been that people have kind of moved back into Hogak over the last couple months, the full complement of Bloodghast, and Leyline of Void being the most complement hate out there, has become reasonable or viable again against this deck because, instead of having, just 4 to 8 threats, you're up to 10 to 12 threats where the graveyard is relevant. And I am going to just move away from that altogether. Hogak has been okay for me in my testing. I have been back on him for the last month, but I do like Bloodghast, and I am going to run the 4, but typically my approach is I sideboard down on them, depending on what I'm playing against post-board. But anyways, this deck doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. I am going to play the 3 main Besagers, and the main function of that typically is Sphinx of the Seal Wind. However, I do expect Oath of Druids to be a big player this weekend, and having the extra ability to remove an Oath of Druids uncounterable is pretty big game. We obviously have the Force of Vigors, and, is this a good deck in the metagame? I'm not currently sure. I mean, Collector Roof is one of the reasons why I'm playing this particular build. I do think Collector Roof is very good. There's lots of Swords to Plowshares running around to be able to remove it, but if that's what my opponent is doing, then hopefully we can apply enough aggression that we're not too worried about that. But anyways, guys, moving on to the sideboard, you will see that it is a little bit different this week. And Bazaar Baghdad Grafdigger's Cage. Now, this is something I did at Eternal Weekend last year where I brought in Cage. This is for a couple of reasons, okay? One, our graveyard is not going to be as impactful as we just mentioned. Why? And so we're not scared to play a Grafdigger's Cage. It's very easily castable in our deck, and it hits 2 things. Last year, it was Breach. That was the big thing that I was worried about, and Breach has a lot of trouble removing something like this. Because they just don't expect it out of the board. In addition to that, Oath of Druids, as I said, I expect it to be big, and this is going to give them a hard time in Oath if the Cage resolves. Sure, they can Oko it or remove it somehow, but it does give me, if it buys me a turn or 2, that should be enough if my deck is functioning to be able to kill my opponent. The same goes for Caracas. Atraxa is the flavor right now in Oath, as it has been for quite some time, and justifiably so. Not all decks are running Wastelands. Most are not, as a matter of fact, but certainly some are. And if I can just keep bouncing their Atraxa, they're in trouble. They're not going to be able to win. But same thing with the Grafdigger's Cage. If it buys me a turn or 2 of not being blocked, I can win the game that way. Surgical Endurance goes without saying. I am going to be expecting to see a lot of White Initiative as well this weekend. I do think White Initiative is reasonably matched against the Lurrus decks, if not slightly favored. And Mindbreak Trap, I am cheating a little bit on combo here. This is one of the deficits of this deck. But that said, I am hoping that combo is going to be a little bit down this weekend because of the presence of the blue-black Bowmaster decks. They're very, very controlling, and it's hard for combo to win through them. So I am hedging a little bit here and this comes at the expense of being ready for Oath of Druids. And I don't need to say Krakus has lots of applicability. Obviously, hitting Lavinia is very big for this deck, and there's not Ragavan's really that relevant, but Ragavan. There's just all sorts of legends that run around. Thalia, which can be a thorn on the side of this deck, so it could come in and be relevant. That said, guys, I haven't got perfect sideboard mapping for this, so we're going to take it in for a run today and see how we do. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll see you round one. Okay, here we go, round one. Don't think we can keep that one. Don't think we can keep that either. I think we'll put a powder away and probably going to put a hex drinker away here, but yeah, it's got to be hex drinker. Let's try this out. See how this goes, guys. Perfect. Now, if they're on Bazaar, we have a shot here. If it's combo, I'm feeling a lot less good about it. But despite we have a pretty good clock going here. Okay, it is combo. Let's see what happens here. Okay. So no one ring. Yeah, that's really good. Jeez. Okay. So not feeling good about my spot here. I guess we're looking for Force of Vigor would be solid. That is not what I'm looking for. There was I guess we could have went and looked for a collector roof here, but I will do that next turn. We'll have a little bit better card equity then. Depending on what my opponent is playing here, like this is not 100% intuitive as to what style of deck they're playing. Like this could be a workshop strategy, could be blue based. They're drawing lots of cards, of course. They got a full mitt full here, but we do have a lot of pressure coming through. That's 10, 13 damage. So they are dead on the upkeep unless they play another one ring here. Now that's lots of mana. They don't really want to tap their Ancient Tomb here. But let's see what they do. Yeah, Time Walk is great for them. Yeah. So this feels like it's Jewel. When you see Grim Monolith, that's what I typically think of. Of course, the One Ring is a natural fit there, but my opponent is very likely to win here this turn. They're just drawing too many cards, and they can just Jewel me out, no problem. I thought we had a chance there until they played the Time Walk. And this is definitely one of the deficits of my deck here is we are pretty cold to these types of decks. Yeah, there's definitely Jewel. Definitely. 5 cards in hand. They just kill me right here. We just F6. Nothing I can do here. My deck does not have any answers to this main deck. Maybe we should have been more proactive last turn. Yeah, they just have Cobra Jewel. Okay. I mean, Null Rod is a pretty strong effect against these decks. Let's see what they can do. A PO will ice me for sure. Not sure what my opponent's pausing about here, but all right. Opponent is doing something here. I mean, I will concede almost anything here. This one is gone for sure. This is a big PO. Not sure why my opponent is taking this long to execute this, but Covenant Jewel is a pretty reasonable thing to be playing this weekend. Now, I've made some changes which are not flattering in this matchup here. Unfortunately for me. I was first 4, now 3. Mindbreak Trap's now down to 2 as I'm trying to hedge for other matchups, but this is a really difficult matchup in my experience because Collector Roof is an amazing card against Jewel, but the problem is that they run removal, as any combo deck should. They also have sagas. There's ways that they can get around what I'm doing here. So, we had a pretty strong turn there, turn 1, despite mulliganing to 5, and was going to be able to close the game out following turn, but never got there. Of course, the One Ring bought them time. All right. Okay, we really need a Force of Vigor here or a Mindbreak Trap. Okay. This gets blown out by Tabby, but there's nothing I can do. And we will pass turn. And my opponent, we hopefully can scare them here. Grid. Grid is really vicious. Okay. Collector Roof is good if I can make it work. Cage. What does my opponent bring Grafdigger's Cage in? Okay, that's really bad. So grateful for that. So can we cast a Collector Roof here? We can. And my opponent cannot respond. Now, if my opponent has removal, we probably just die. But if they don't, we're going to win. We have exactly lethal here. All right. So Collector Roof, very good there. I do like defense grid against what I do like defense grid. What my opponent's trying to do there, I think it's pretty good. But the fact my opponent had Cage in is quite suspect. Don't think we need to make any changes here. None of these are any good. We're going to have to get a bit lucky to win this one. Yavimaya Cradle, very strong. I would love to be able to run 3 of these, as I have many times since I picked up this deck, but I'm foregoing that for the extra Boseiju here. Well, that or Hogak, but Chalice loses some of its function on the draw, but I still think that this deck, if it does go off, inhibiting their ability to play Moxen for free is still pretty good. All right, how are we looking here? Not very good. We're going to powder that one. A little sad to powder those away. Another good powder. This hand doesn't do anything. Going to mulligan that one. This one does have Force of Vigor, but I don't have a lot else going on. No, we just got a powder. We can just do way better than this. Perfect. Well, perfect's an overstatement, but it's solid. One, 2. I've got the Sage Juice for that. And 3. I think I take that. Okay, I mean, look, I don't get in with the vines, but do I put the vines in? I don't think so. Odd, right? I could have had a Vengevine in there. Maybe I could have done one just for the sake of it in case they do actually choke here, but let's see if this works. Saga's a good one. So we definitely need some help here. I mean, we're looking very much for a Force of Vigor would be our best draw. What's this? Just Metamorph. Just putting it on the Mox. Interesting. Another Ensnaring Bridge. They're just trying to empty their hand, I guess. We'll Bazaar here. Do I Besage you this versus Saga? Probably. Honestly, not thrilled about this. I mean, I could have taken their workshop to inhibit their ability to cast stuff, but I just think that this is where I need to be right now. And if they have an ancestral, we have the misstep here. We just got to fade this turn, I think. Well, maybe not, but like the root wall is being able to pump is fairly big game. Like that's a lot of damage here. Now my opponents could empty their hand here. Okay. That is not very synergistic with bridge here, but okay. It's a lot of damage coming through on my end here. If I can ever get these vines going, now's the time. Funny enough, I can hard cast that. Let's see what happens here. What if they have a Force of Will here? They're going to empty next turn, but if I wasteland their workshop, it makes it a lot worse for them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think this is worth doing what I'm trying to do here. I do think I get rid of the Vengevine. I think Yavimaya Cradle of Growth is unnecessary. And the Black Lotus is okay. So I think I do it like this. I don't think I need to get fancy here. Look, my opponent's going to have somewhat of a hard time. I wish I had drawn a Collector Roof. It is what it is, though. But I think my opponent has put themselves in a difficult spot here, and taking away their workshop is reasonably good game. I realize that I'm enabling PO by leaving Ancient Tomb there, but the more powerful land, without a doubt, is the workshop to help them empty their hand faster, and they need to, like, I can attack for my 2 Basking Root Wallas and Blazing Root Walla, and it's very lethal. Even with if they somehow get rid of my Gaia's Cradle. Okay, we do have Time Vault covered if they don't have a force. And if they tap their Ancient Tomb, it has to be force and negation exactly to stop my mental misstep. Force of Will will not work because they will die. So my opponent is thinking about this. They're tapping all their mana. They are going to 1. Okay, PO. All right. Fair enough. We could die from here. But not likely. All right. Okay. This opponent is traditionally a dredge player. Gonna powder this one away. So powder back, increase my chances of finding. Well, that's an awful hand. Let's dredge the Sage is the better of the 2 there. All right, this is a decent hand. I don't think this beats dredge game 1. If we were on the play, it would be a lot better for me than on the draw. But let's see. So it is going to be Bazaar. Okay, it's dredge. Love a Wasteland. One, 2. Maybe I keep the Hex Drinker. Maybe I just don't care that much. Hex Drinker surprisingly can be very strong in this matchup, given enough time to get Super Saiyan. Can't play around my Break Trap here. So a pretty strong start from me. We're going to be able to hold the ground for a little bit here. But of course, we haven't been able to do anything to my opponent's Bazaar, which is going to be very dangerous for us here in a short amount of time. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a Bazaar of Baghdad. We're looking for a Gaia's Cradle. I will settle for a Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. Strip Mine. Oh, we got a second Bazaar. Okay. That should ice me pretty good, I would think. All right, well, found a Wasteland. I don't know that that does for me what I want it to here. I'm really, really behind. As awkward as this is, I just feel like having the mana to be able to do whatever it is I need to do moving forward is fairly big game. I could have wastelanded, but the reality is, guys, that buying time at this stage does not matter. The damage is being done here. My opponent has, kept a really good 7, and I mulliganed to 5 and was not able to find my way out, despite having a very powerful opener. It's not too often you get triple hollow one on turn 1. But so this game, to be clear, I cannot win this game, but I'm just going to take a good look at my opponent's deck here, see if there's any aberrations I need to know of. And this just looks like a very stock, like Lord Barris list. I mean, Barris, it's not probably their list. They weren't the ones that started playing Silver Smoke, but they are the ones championing it right now. Okay, so we can mitigate a bit of this damage here. And you can betcha I'm going to pump my Root Walla because I can. All right. So I have cheated on Dredge a little bit. Now I may come back to this. Collector Reef is very bad. Force of Vigor is not a card I'm overly concerned about. Let's do this. Hex Drinker, as I mentioned earlier, you would be surprised in certain circumstances where you can get that thing big, like you've done some early chip damage, and it can push through their army and can kill them. Now, is it good? Probably not. But I have won games off the back of Hex Drinker and Dredge where I've kind of gone, that's surprising. Force of Vigor, I'm not concerned about because my graveyard doesn't really matter. Yes, there are hands where I have a double vine. I'm like, oh, geez, I wish I had my graveyard. But more often than not, it's not that big of a deal. And I think it's worth keeping if they get some early hollow ones going that I have an answer to it. But outside of that, I don't think it's the end-all be-all for me. Okay, so this has a Wasteland and a Surgical, but it's otherwise pretty bad. Oh, it's funny. Why do I have Dismember in here? I guess I put them in by mistake. We can do better than this. Yeah, I don't know. This is like pretty risky. It doesn't do anything. I guess I'll keep it. See if I can draw my way out of it. I have an answer with Beseju, multiple Wastelands, like I have multiple answers to Bazaar. If the cage holds up, it's going to be strong. Now, I do need to resolve the cage, which is, not a small thing, but see how far they go down. 2 Force of Wills are gone, which is good. We still are contending with Force of Vigor as well. So this is kind of a trap hand, but we'll do it for science. And I mean, who's kidding who? It can win. I'll put it out right away. I'm not going to play the Lotus here. I don't want to play it into Vigor. Okay, it did survive. Okay, pretty good. Still does not stop my Beseju. I can play Yavimaya next turn. Let's just take my Lotus, yeah. Can't believe they didn't take my Root Walla. How rude. Yeah, that was just like literally the worst draw I could have. But I mean, what's a guy gonna do here? They're down to 4 cards here, so they're obviously trying to draw into a Force of Vigor. And the problem for us is that we don't have any pressure going. And we do need some pressure. I'm going to move towards manual discard. None of this stuff does for me playing it out. I have 2 mana in play now. Just remember, like, what a just silly thing to have in my deck. I do not remember siding those in. They're not completely dead, obviously, but it's not what I'm looking to do. They're just going to manual discard. Okay. I can hard cast that now. There's the Bazaar. Look at this Dismember. Crushing it like a boss. That was a good draw. Play my land first. Let's wasteland that thing, and if they have the revival, we have an answer. Cage. Okay. See what they got. They only have 3 cards in hand, so. Okay, they did not have an Oxus Revival. We'll see if they have a second Bazaar here. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Meant to play the Boseiju and hard cast the Vine here. That's okay. I'm going to sit back here. I guess I will play the Boseiju, and why don't I cycle now? There's Bazaar. Okay. Next turn will be looking pretty good, I think. All right. Now we're solid. I'm going to get these red root wallows in. Actually, I'll get the green now that I have a second Bazaar, because I can pump it next turn to start dealing a lot of damage. Okay, so a good win for us there. A little bit of a sketchy keep, and I don't typically like keeping hands like that because it was very fragile. It just turns out my opponent was unable to handle the cage until 4 or 5 turns in. And so we got a little bit lucky that way, but why do I have these dismembers? These seem just really bad. I think Bloodghast is just better because it turns on. Bloodghast just ends on turning on my cradles. Let's try this. Like, if my deck can't handle a hollow one, like something's wrong. So that's not a good reason to have dismembers. Yep. Very nice looking hand. Okay. We're just gonna play. Of course, we've got the Vengevine here. All right. Do I care about the Vengevine? I don't think so. I mean, I can hard cast it perhaps, but the problem is I could be playing into Force of Vigor here. Like what I could do here is I could play the Lotus into Hex Drinker and Cage, but it still turns them on that way. I think I just do this, and we're going to pass turn and see what happens. If my opponent Force of Vigors me, then I'll flash the Endurance, which sucks, but I guess I still don't have to do that. Like, is it just better? My question is it better to have a Hex Drinker and a Cage in play? Because they're going to take this away. There's no guarantee that I'm going to have land next turn. It's tough, man. I'm going to pass. Looks like they have it. All right, so I was better to go the other way. Oh, maybe they didn't have it. All right. Phew. Here comes their Bazaar. Yeah. It's exiled. No play. All right. They don't have a Bazaar? They do have Vigor. Okay. Let this go to the yard so they can't as easily Noxious Revival it. Look, guys, this is not optimal for me, but I feel like I'm maybe losing this game if they counter my Cage, but there's not much else I can do here. We do have a Strip Mine for a Bazaar. Like, I wonder whether my opponent actually has one the way they're playing here, but I don't know. Like, the fact they didn't play one last turn is really a little bit weird to me, especially because they had a Force of Vigor, but I don't know. So they do have the Bazaar. Okay. Greenland. Sweet. That was a good draw because I can get Hex Drinker into play. Of note, my opponent is at 19 life right now, so I'm quite a ways away from killing them, but it is what it is. We just have to hope that they don't have another Bazaar, or more importantly, any Force of Vigor. Now, Gaea's Cradle would be a nice draw for us. Surgical Extraction would be nice. They have the second Bazaar. Okay. It does not look like they're dredging here. It looks like they're actively looking for a Vigor, which makes sense. I mean, the Cage is hard to beat otherwise. Bazaar. Okay, I do like that. I'm going to just play it out. I don't know that I'm going to use it. The reason is if I draw Gaea's Cradle next turn, I'll want to play it. No Force of Vigor there. Or you have a Yavimaya Cradle and Growth to be able to pump my Hex Drinker up. Okay. So they can find Force of Vigor here potentially. But that will cost them their entire hand. And we are going to be doing what? Probe, free draw. So yes, we would have had Hex Drinker into Ultimate. So it would be 4, 7, 8. So one short. So they might have been able to go off. But obviously Wastelanding this would have inhibited them significantly. Yeah, probably we're losing that if they did find the Vigor there. Anyways, we'll take it. All right, guys, here we are, round 3. Geez, I just realized I didn't have my mic on. I hope that doesn't inhibit the sound too much here. Hopefully this is better for you. Apologize. All right, this hand is not good. We're going to mulligan this one. We did win the die roll. Much better. We like this turn 1 Benjamin. We're going to take a peek too and see what my opponent's doing first. I'm going to keep, put the powder back, and see what my opponent's up to. Don't mind if I do. Okay, love a Chalice of the Void, please. Whoa, guys. This is going to be good. Unbelievable. That's better than Chalice of the Void. Okay, that was a showcase for Probe being pretty good. I mean, it goes without saying that Probe is a very strong card in general, but it's really fallen out of favor in these style of decks just because of the tight slots. But that actually was decent. Showed me what we're up against. The coast is clear. And we're going to go Lotus. And we're going to go green. Going to play a Hex Drinker. And I'm going to play a Collector Roof. Here we go. That was a good turn, eh? Now, they do have a Lightning Bolt. I will say that. That's quite a bit of damage coming through. And certainly we could lose this. In all fairness, I'm getting a little bit brash here. But my opponent's just going to bolt my oof. And that seems not terrible for them. Okay, that was a good draw. Play this, and I think oh, this is turned off with the Collector Roof here. But they're not going to want to take the damage. Let's go. Do they just take the extra damage here? It'd be interesting to see. I guess they do because they know I can pump the Blazing Root Wall here. No, they did do it. Okay. Here we go. Very lethal next turn. Now, I acknowledge that they can Demonic Tutor here and, I don't know, get an Ancestral or something. I don't think they can Tinker here unless they've drawn something. Time Walk they could. Yeah, okay, so just Desperation, Time Walk, then they Gush and try and go off. It seems about as good as they can do here, and we just have to dodge them finding a Tinker. I don't know if they even run Sphinx of the Steel Wind in their deck, but Sphinx would be pretty bad for me. Wow, that was a good one. All right. Despite we had that crazy opener, my opponent put up a pretty good show there. All right, well, maybe we want some Mind Break traps here. Not really sure what my opponent's playing. Do we want cages? I could see cage being okay. I don't think Chalices is good on the draw. I think Bloodghast is a lot worse when you've got cages, right? Maybe just a Miser Caracas. I feel differently about the Vengevines than I do the Bloodghast because, yes, I'm running Grafdigger's Cage, but I can hard cast Vengevines quite reasonably in this deck. All right, So we could go turn 1 Hex Drinker, turn 2 Basking Rootwalla, pump the Hex Drinker choice or with Cage. No. This powder. Mulligan. Okay. Nice looking hand. I think I'm going to get rid of the Hex Drinker here because I value the discard equity of the Vengevine. Not because I think I have any chance of animating it here this turn. Be very low that we could do it. But okay, I think we're going to misstep that, guys. It's a little risky doing that, but I want to hide. We've got like a really responsive hand here. Hopefully my opponent does not go Ancestral here. That would be really rough on me. Okay, 2, and they're going to pass. Okay. Wasteland. I think that's fine. Like, if my opponent has Urza Saga, we still have the Vigor here. Okay. That's decent. Now, I think Mindbreak Trap has served its purpose here. I don't think it's likely to be good. One, 2. Yeah, this is a little bit rough. Like, is Vigor even any good here? Not really. I think it's just too selfish not to do it. Not to discard the okay, Caracas. That's not a great draw, but I'm gonna play it. Oh, I can't. I already played land, of course. So my hand is not shaped up very nicely this game. Been very responsive type of hand with no pressure. I really should have kept that Hex Drinker, but hindsight's 20/20. I didn't know what I was going to draw off that probe, and turning my Cradle on is something. Okay. I think that's okay for now. I don't think I need to respond to that unless they flip their top. For now, I'm okay. Okay, great draw. Good draw. They have Force of Will. Okay, that's not a surprise. Okay, no land. All right. That was a bit of a bad draw. Okay, here we go. It's unlikely this deck is playing Lavinia, so I think I can probably side out the Caracas. We're going to get a little bit better of a look at what they're doing this game. But because I didn't have great sideboard options there, I didn't think it was unreasonable. Oh, Tabernacle, okay. That's too bad. Too bad. This is one of the downsides of Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, because I've turned on I've given them a land when Tabernacle has absolutely zero impact on the game right now. Okay. I can actually hardcast the Hollow One next turn, believe it or not. Okay. Now I can hardcast Vigor here. My opponent has already used the Force of Will. Oh, Hull Breacher. Okay, Hull Breacher is a good thing to know about. I didn't pay attention to that. Okay, this of note is already on. But maybe my opponent does not realize that. I don't know. I'm going to let it go here. And we're going to attempt to hard cast the Force of Vigor. And hopefully it resolves. And another Force of Will. Okay. Well, this is a problem. Not going to be able to Force of Will that one. So this is a situation where I'd like to have my Bazaar back, but it's not the worst position. This Saga, unfortunately, is going to outclass me very quickly. The only saving grace is that my opponent's Tabernacle is going to start taxing them. Okay, so we got a turn to find a Collector Roof, Wasteland, Strip Mine, Force of Vigor. And that's a lot of different looks, guys. Beseiju is another one. There it is. Huge. Force of Vigor would not have done it because I couldn't cast it. Okay. They've used quite a few forces here, so I can't imagine they're going to have another Force of Will, but 1, 2 forces. Okay, it's not that bad. They could have another one, but let's hope not. It'd be pretty low prevalence for them to find a third one here. Okay, we're in. Now they can make a Saga token here if they choose, which is pretty good because it will be able to stop my my attack. But they're going to lose a land, and I mean, I guess I can get a Pithing Needle here for my Bazaar again. Oh, they're just okay. They're just looking to find removal for my oof here. Well, that's a good one. Now, I really just can't attack here is the problem. Feeling a bit bad about my situation, but I do like having the other roof here because it buys me that much more time. But Force of Vigor is going to look good here if I can get that going. But this is still I feel like a very close game. Strip Mine, okay. Take my Cradle away. Yep, I did not expect that. I won't lie. Okay. Yeah, I just cannot profitably attack here. Yeah, we are losing this, I believe, now. That was a really good Gaia's Cradle on their part. Or with Strip Mine on my Gaia's, because that was the card that was going to enable me to be able to cast spells and get ahead here. And they're just going to be able to draw themselves out of this, which is tough. Well, let's keep going. Like Yavimaya Cradle of Growth saving my life here. Okay, that's not a bad one. We can ever it casts easy. Force of Vigor would be a really good card here for us. Yeah, as much as Cradle's saving me, it's saving my opponent too. Uh, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, Merchant Scroll and Ancestral. It's going to be a good one for them. That was what I was just calling for. That is the card that I need here. I'm going to cycle a hollow one, and then I'm going to cast Rootwalla. Okay, good. Now I do have a Vengevine in the yard here. 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next turn I can cast both of these. Okay. Gaia's Cradle was a really nice draw from me there. Both of them are really helpful here because it's going to enable me to get my vine out of my yard and apply quite a bit of pressure here. Now, I could just lose. Like, the question is do I attack with my Collector Roofs? It's kind of scary to do so because if they have one removal spell, it could cost me significantly. But let's assess this as we go here. 7/7. Like, I don't think I can attack with my Collector Roofs here. Like, if they didn't have the Ancestral, I think it's more viable. Let's draw a good card off the top here. Hex Drinker would be good too. Wasteland. Well, I can get rid of that Tabernacle. I can also, like, they have quite a bit of mana here. It's tough. I think this is probably better saved for a Saga. Okay, here comes a Vine. So what do we want to do here? I feel like next turn I have a pretty strong Alpha attack. Right? I can put them to 6. They just eat one of them. Yeah, I think I can not attack with these two. Right? And next, the following turn, go for it. Like, if they get one of my Vengevines here, I think that's okay. Yeah, this is okay. I'm going in with these two things here. And if they have a Hull Breacher, look. Oh, they can't cast Hull Breacher, sorry. Next turn they might be able to do that, but yep, that's the correct one to block. Now they're at 6. Okay, they are fetching. Okay, 3. So this is likely to be a Sphinx of the Steel Wind coming in here. Oh no, what they're going to do is, well, Collector Roof is a problem for them. There's 2 of them. Do they have 2 remove? Are they going to get 2 removal spells and just kill me? This puts them to 3. I would have killed them if I had have attacked with the 2 Collector Roofs this way. So I have enabled this. I still have Besagus, though, if it is a Sphinx. I have 2 Besagus left in my deck, I believe, out of 30 cards. which is not good odds considering my Bazaar is shut off. But if they don't have a removal spell in their hand, making it viable for them to go and get another one to just unlock their vault key, then I think we're okay. Now, Sphinx of the Steel Wind is nasty here. Like, I probably will still lose to that as well. But I obviously would prefer that than just dying vault key. But my opponent, well, they don't need to pay for their construct. They can let it go. Will be taxed on mana here. Get down to 3. So maybe a little bit of cowardice on my part not attacking with those collector roofs, but we'll see. Okay. What do they do? Ancestral twice? I guess they can Vampiric once. Ancestral it. Gosh, okay. It's pretty good, I guess. This is not deterministic for sure. Time Walk, okay. That's what that feels like. Okay. And now Ancestral. And that was a pretty good value breach for sure. And that's their turn, I guess. They did let their construct go, which seems correct. They probed. Okay, put themselves to 1. Probably reasonable. Okay. So 3 mana, 4 mana. Can they remove both my collector roofs here? And they have to discard 2. Okay, Mana Crypt. Yep. And Saga, both no value here. They are still playing. Good one. So it would require 2. I guess they don't have to be 1 casting cost because the Tabernacle taps for a mana, but they would have 3 mana there. Okay, good win for us, guys. I didn't think we were going to win that game. Just in my experience level, when you're sitting at parity and you're playing draw go, like your Bazaar shut off, like they're drawing cards, you're drawing cards, you can't get through for any damage. Typically, sorry about that, guys. I had a telephone call. But to finish my point, usually when you're playing draw go and you're at a standstill, that's going to favor the opponent that, or the person that is drawing cards. And of course, as you can see, they've got an awful lot of card draw. Our only card draw in our deck is Bazaar of Baghdad that shut off. But this is just a tribute to Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, how good this card is. This is truly the card here that got us going. And Gaia's Cradle being able to play very nimbly around Tabernacle of Pendrabale, and this is the selling point of this deck. We definitely had some timely draws with our collectors, but yeah, very nice win, guys. See you next round. Okay, guys, here we are in round 4. We did not win the die roll, and we're playing another Lurrus deck here. This one's a mull. Not a very good start here, unfortunately. We're losing this quite badly. Very disappointing. There we go. Mold of 3, guys. Not how you want to start when you're 3-0. Yeah. All right. And that's pretty good. We're going to wasteland this. And let's see if we can find a Vengevine to get things going here. Of course, Lure and Revealed. All right. Not a very good chance of winning this, but you never know. Like, we have a couple good cards here. Obviously, sad to draw Serum Powder there. Oh, we did hit a Vine. Okay, that's pretty sweet. The Serum Powder was rough, but hopefully we get an opportunity to discard it next turn. I'm also quite pleased to draw a Mental Misstep here. But if they don't wasteland us next turn, we'll be pretty happy to be able to loot that powder away. I mean, from mulligan to 3, you can't complain here. Dress down, okay. That does take the haste away. So it is pretty good. So this is likely Crazy Diamond's list where with the main deck dress downs and Phyrexian Dreadnought. Nice to have an answer to Dreadnought here. So they're buying some time. Lauren Revealed, yeah. Okay. Besage you. So we're going to Bazaar here. The Besaju's lost the allure here because I don't have another green source, and the other two cards in Hollow One and Mental Misstep are just too good to discard. Okay. This could get Force of Willed here. All right. I'm not averse to this. I mean, obviously it gives them an extra turn by doing that. Look at the Lure and Revealeds going here. Okay, they're down to one card. I mean, Lurrus is a thing, but see what if they just get an Ancestral here, we have a crack at it. Now, if it's a Lotus, it's not good for me. I guess I can keep cycling Dress Down back and forth, but oh, Time Bolt, of course. Yeah. All right, so we are going to lose this because I don't think there's an answer that I can get that I can cast to stop this. Well, I guess that is one way. If we can hit a couple Root Wallas here. Oh, we didn't. Okay. I would say we put up a pretty good fight there for a mulligan to 3 on the draw. I don't know if I want Caracas or not. Probably not. Like, I don't feel like Force of Vigor is that good. Let's try that. I think this is reasonable. The only reason I'm even keeping Force of Vigor and all in is because of the presence of Urza's Saga. Like, yes, they can get me with a Pithing Needle, but that's far worse on the play than on the draw when they're on the play. Okay. Easy powder. Here we go, guys, for science, right? A little bit awkward because of the collector roof shutting off the mocks here, but hopefully the UF resolves. No misstep, please. Sweet. So this is going to take it out of Dismember range or Swords range, and I am now Tabernacle proof. And so there is a possibility that we can win off the back of this Hex Drinker against this style of deck. Like, Tabernacle, I guess, could do it if they are able to wasteland me off the Cradle here. I do have a wasteland for their Tabernacle, but obviously it comes at a cost. I always find one of the most interesting parts of playing CradleVine is keeping non-bazaar hands and what percentage of wins losses. I would say I'm over 50% on keeps, but of course it's contingent on what you're playing against, whether you're on the play or the draw, and it almost always 100% of the time has, not 100%, but maybe 90% has a turn 1 collector roof if I keep them. And this is a match where collector roof is relevant. Now they may turn 1 swords my collector roof here and play a couple moxes or whatever, but this thing is going to get paced pretty quick here. I'm going to get it into ultimate if they don't wasteland me. And that's what my hope is here. I'm just really in on this Hex Drinker. My opponent's deck is not fast. It grinds you out. I guess if they were playing the Dreadnought version, it could be. But Collector Roof significantly slows that down. Okay, after a 3 or 4 minute pause, my opponent is back, and they did indeed go after my Collector Roof here. Smart, put it on Hex Drinker. Okay. Or they put it on Blazing Root Wall. Like, it's almost a blessing if they, because they can't target the Hex Drinker. Now they can get in front of it if it doesn't become Saiyan. Or do they put it on Bazaar? They did put it on Hex Drinker. Okay. I think given my situation here, I am probably going to Wasteland. Ooh, Collector Roof. All right. Well, they have Force of Will. This does not feel as good, but I'm going to play around days here. And we're just going to hope that this is good. They didn't have a Force last time, so this is 7 damage coming in. And they have no man on the table. Could be another Swords, perhaps. No. Soul Ring. Okay. Mindbreak Trap is not what we want here. They do have Hex Drinker turned off. Okay, well, this is what we got. We do have my opponent dead next turn if they don't do anything. Okay. All right, non-bizarre win there. That's good. So we go to a game 3 here. Honestly, don't think Mindbreak Trap is that good against my opponent. Sure, they can belch out a lot of permanents in a turn, but I don't think it's the best. I think the Force of Vigor is just likely a better play in general. There is some merit to bringing in Endurance as well. Maybe I do want an Endurance over like a Vigor. It's hard to know. They do utilize their graveyard. Where the Vigor's a lot better is if I end up with a Bazaar opener and I'm reliant on that Bazaar to do anything and they get me with a Needle. This is not a hand we can keep. Great. This does have the ability to pop off pretty nicely if they don't get our Bazaar. They're down to 5. So they've been sitting at 5 here for 30 seconds. Presumably that's where they're stopping and they're just deliberating over what they want to put on the bottom. Okay, well, let's see. That I am not happy to see. I was just about to say I don't want to see a Black Lotus. Yeah, that's a really good one. Okay. I mean, they're pretty low on resources here, so they got a Tundra. But obviously, a turn 1 Lavinia is strong against my deck. All of these things just die to Lavinia, remember. I can't discard the Root Wall they just get countered. So the good news is my opponent is low on resources. The bad news is that much of what I'm trying to do isn't great here because of the presence of Lavinia. Yeah, right into an Ancestral off the top. Okay, so that's probably losing for me. Yeah, okay. If they didn't have the Ancestral here, I think we would have been in decent shape. But because they have the Ancestral, we're in a pretty hard spot. Like I felt like we probably were going to be able to pull this one out, but our odds went down exponentially with the Ancestral. They went from rags to riches there. Well, I mean, I can get a vine in here potentially. I guess we do go. Let's get busy. The vine does change things. Yeah, all right. We're just all in on these double vines. Maybe not. Maybe I can cast the. No, I want a vigor or a wasteland, right? The problem is if they have a time walk. So what I'm contemplating here, guys, is can I let that Urza's Saga stay for a turn at the price of casting a Basking Rootwalla off the Boseiju? Because having another creature in play is good, but I don't think it's worth it. Like, look, this is definitely an expensive play for me, but I am putting 8 power in play here. And this is the way you beat Lavinia. Now, do we lose to Tabernacle? For sure. Just have to hope they don't have it. But I am, of course, going to Wasteland the Saga here. I can't leave that in there. And let's just hope they don't have a tab. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're desperately looking for the tab here. So if we fade this turn, I think we're going to win. Okay, my opponent's deliberating here, having a long thought, which I'm not sure how well that bodes for me, but hopefully, hopefully they don't do anything here. Okay, swords is a possibility here for sure. Like that. So they have a swords. I have a feeling they have a swords here. Let's get in. If they have to chump block, it's pretty good for me. They don't have to. They can actually just take this and go to 1, but I have a feeling like they have a swords here. And I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to play a Cradle and a Boseiju, hold Boseiju up. In case they tinker me or something like that. And of course for Tabernacle protection. Not sure if my opponent's all of a sudden double queued or they're really in the tank here. Like, are they contemplating going to 1? No, they're getting in front of it. Okay, that's good news for me. Do I look for a Collector Roof here? Or do I just hold up Boseiju? I'm going to hold up Boseiju here. They're at 5 life, and I'm coming in for 8 damage. They have to get 2 blockers out. Maybe I shouldn't have exposed the Cradle there and should have played a Wasteland instead, but I really liked the security of the Boseiju in case they go and do something like a Sphinx of the Steel Wind. I guess I could just untap and do that. I do apologize if you can hear that in the background, but somebody is cutting some concrete with a very loud saw in the background. Okay, here we go. Balance. Okay, well, balance was not what I expected. So what I think I do here, guys, I mean, I do value these cards, but I can go down to 1 card here and take this out of their hand. They don't have to sacrifice a land. I don't think so. I think I'd let them have this. Or what I could do is I could Boseiju. Yeah, that's what I do. I think I Boseiju the Mox, give them an extra land, make them sacrifice one of their lands, and they won't have the Mox anymore, and I'm down to 1 card. Now they could float, though. That's the thing. Could they cast something doing that? How much do I care? Yeah, I think I like that. I'm going to gamble that they don't have it. Oh, what's this? So this gives them an extra land. Which they can float a mana perhaps. But this means that they have to discard down a card. If I wanted to make them discard their hand, I could do that. But I really want to be able to get my Bloodghast back for sure next turn, because this is going to be a hasted threat. Nice play by my opponent. I was not expecting balance. I didn't want to do that. My trigger went through before I could get it this wastelanded. That was a mistake, because now they can swords me. Yep, they have it too. All right, well, next turn I'm going to start doing some big bazaaring. I don't want to discard this bazaar here. The 2 bazaars are really good together. Of course, Urza Saga. Of course it is. What else would it be? Rootwalla, please? That is not what I want. Okay, well, I'm going to get churning here. Oh my gosh, guys. What a hit. That was pretty lucky, I will admit. But it was also pretty lucky for my opponent to hit me with that balance. All right. I could have done it again when on the stack, but that's fine. Like with these on the stack, I could have done it again looking for another Benjamin, but I think that was overkill. I knew they couldn't swords me or anything like that. Well, they had no cards in their hand either. But all right, guys, that was a really good win for us, that particular last game. And not only that, it was an excellent game. It was very back and forth. We did beat a turn one Lavinia on the draw, which is a tribute to how powerful this deck can be, and just countered our Root Walla and our Endurance. I'm very grateful we sideboarded that Endurance in to have an extra creature to be able to trigger our Vengevine that didn't require discard through the Bazaar. And anyways, we got ourselves a Gate of Cradle, and we were going to start to be able to cast our spells through their Lavinia. And yeah, tight win, good match win. See you guys next round. We're playing for a trophy. Okay, guys, here we are on the trophy match. And did we win the die roll? We won the die roll, it looks like. All right. It's a powder. Oh, the mulligan. Fortunately. Oh, we got a powder again. How many Root Wallas can we lose here? It's a lot of Root Wallas. I mean, I could keep Lotus here. Like what if I put the powder away and I went 1, 2, 3, and then I could ultimate Hex Drinker. We just have to be better than this, right? I think so. I'm going to put a Root Walla back against my better judgment. Okay. Not optimal, but not the worst either. That was not great, actually. I feel like the Cradle is, I don't know, maybe the Cradle's fine. I really would like to keep the Vigor up here. All right, not great, not great. We just can't keep it all, right? That's the issue. Okay. Saga? Is that their keep? Is that their play? No, they must have a land. If they flip that top, I will, of course, respond. Lotus, yep. Show and tell. Well, okay, we cannot beat an Atraxa game one. So we're playing against Show and Oath. Now, this is kind of exciting because this is the match that we prepared for. We've got a couple Caracases and we've got a couple Grafdigger's Cages in our deck. And we might even want a couple Dismembers, believe it or not. So Force of Vigor is pretty good against the Oath of Druids side of things. I don't know that I'm going to be able to keep the Dismembers. Probably can cut a Probe. I think I'm going to get rid of my Ghasts here. Let's do this, guys. Let's see. I mean, look, I don't know that these changes are going to be enough to make the Oath matchup a good matchup. What I have in my deck traditionally is 4 Force of Vigors and 2 Besejus. I'm currently up to 3 Beseju to be able to help with the Oath of Druids matchup. Obviously, Beseju has a lot of different applications. I brought in Caracas specifically to help combat Atraxa, because if they don't have an Atraxa in play, it buys me time. Despite they're getting a lot of cards off of Atraxa, Caracas really helps there. It's probably my single best card. And of course, Grafdigger's Cage shuts off both Show and Tell and Oath of Druids. And we have the surprise factor here, guys. People are not expecting us to do that. And as my opponent siding in Force of Vigors against me, an experienced pilot probably would not be, because the only thing it hits is Hollow One. So I think that there's some good applications here. Is it good enough? Who knows? I mean, Atraxa is a card that changes the face of a game very quickly. But I think this is where we want to be. There is merit to perhaps siding out some of the Moxen in this type of a matchup. I'm not averse to that either. Yeah, I mean, this is a really nice hand. If I can get this Vengevine going turn 1, these vines, it's really nice. Oh no! All right. Well, this is a situation where I got burned a little bit because my hand is Vengevines, right? And it's not normal to have that happen to me. But anyways, we're going to get going here. The vines are not looking great, almost assuredly. But this is a fringe thing. Like, I mean, these are not great against me in general. Now, I think I do want the Mox. And they've just F6, so Chalice should be good here. Yep. All right. We're going to need some help, but... Orchard, yeah. Okay, what is this? Nope. I will take your token, though. Oh, they got Force, too. Jeez. Okay, they really want to just slam a turn 1 Oath, I guess. I don't know. Was that worth it? Was that worth it for them? I don't know. They're down to 2 cards here. Like, they wanted that Mox for some reason, so maybe that's all the mana they had. I don't know. I'm setting up a potential for a Force of Vigor here. If I find a Vigor. Potential Collector Roof. Not really, because I have to discard 2, but... So I'll be 3/5. Yeah, I could cast an Oof potentially. Okay, there's an Orchard. Even a Wasteland is solid here. There's the Vigor. And let's see if it resolves. It's what's I got. Okay. Maybe could have waited for the Oath itself. Oh no. Good top deck. Okay. They conceded? Oh geez. That was a very early concession. Ooh, that would have been a nice one. All right. Well, so they've shown Leyline. I could see Dismember being a little bit more impactful here. And the reason is that they're more apt to be able to get an Atraxa down. And if I'm attacking him with something like a Hollow One or a Benjamine, well, not a Benjamine, a Hollow One, I can shrink it. And then I can kill it with a Hollow One. That's more likely to be a reasonable play off of a Show and Tell versus an Oath, because they'll just continue to do Oath of Druids into Atraxas from there, and we'll just get buried. But no, I like Hexdrinker more than I like Dismember. We're just actively losing if an Atraxa comes down, and if we don't have a Caracas. But let's try this out, guys. I mean, this is a tough match. Interesting. I got double Force of Vigor for a quick Oath, but not much else really going on. I can Wasteland. Is that what I want to be doing here? I don't think so. Like this, all joking aside, like I'm very cold to Show and Tell here. If they come down with a quick Show and Tell. But if it's the Oath side of things, which is what, one of their main game plans here, I can shut it down, untap, collect a roof, and Wasteland, potentially. Okay. This is pretty bad, but anyways, let's try this out. For a trophy, guys, should I be what is leave your thoughts in the comments as to what you would do here. Hey, I mean, awkward, but we're gonna, I guess, play a Hex Drinker here. What makes this really rough for me is that they're very likely to drop an Oath, and what if I can't resolve the cage? That means I've got my Besagio in play. I mean, I still have Caracas, but I mean, this is what I came here to do, right? They're probably going to let this resolve because they're not worried about it, because I'm playing into their Oath. No, I was going to say, they're not going to mess with that thing. I have my anti-Oath cards here, and I guess the Hex Drinker is the card that makes this line somewhat viable, right? There's the Oath, as we thought. So what makes this hard for me is if this cage doesn't resolve. But if it does, they wouldn't be playing Days, would they? There's no reason to hide from Days anyways. They let it resolve. So do I tap my Caracas? What are the chances? They've shown me they have Nature's Claim here. Previous. I would love to pump this thing up here, but I just think it's too risky with Time Walk. Show and tell, I guess, is still an option here. They did not reveal. Dismember. Okay. Fair enough. Nice. Do I do it? Nope. If they have a nature's claim here, it's a bummer for me. They didn't. Saga, yeah, that's a bit scary here. Okay, well, I'm going to need to be a bit more proactive. There's another cage. Okay. So they will have a Saga next turn, but it shouldn't be able to compete with me. I think, unfortunately, I'm just going to need to be greedy around my Hex Drinker here. See if I can get this out of Dismember range. Well, it is out of Dismember range. And I guess I'm going to just get going here. I don't have time to fool around now. Oko was also a threat, so let's go. Okay, great. No play there. Would love to be able to get rid of this Urza Saga here. Okay, so here comes their Saga. Oko is a card that scares me in this particular instance, but oh, they gave me a token. They may not realize I have Yavimaya Cradle of Growth here. I think they tapped wrong. Okay. They got time. What are they doing? Oh, that's really peculiar. Okay. Well, I could cast a Vengevine here, but I mean, this just feels like that's really big deal that they did that, that they gave me that extra mana. But I mean, we just need to get going here. That's because they gave me the extra mana, it turns my Cradle on all that much more. And allows me to cast another Grafdigger's Cage, which I'm very happy about. I can trade with their 1/1. Now, they could turn off my Caracas here with their Cradle. I can't stop the Cradle, or the, excuse me, Urza Saga. But I can do this. And I guess I win next turn if they don't have something here. Even an Atraxa here shouldn't do it unless they have a Time Walk to go with it. Okay, my opponent is not making a construct, which is unfortunate. Okay, Sensei's top. Okay. It will not be an easy task to show and tell in an Atraxa and Time Walk, but certainly is possible. Now, of course, I can shoot it back to their hand. Wasteland, of course, changes that math, but it will literally require them getting an Atraxa, keeping it in play, and time walking in order to get rid of my Hex Drinker. My Hex Drinker has progenitus status and cannot be targeted any longer by Oko either. A balance will not work because they have a construct in play. I will just keep my Hex Drinker. Okay. That's mana neutral. They did shuffle their top. Yep. Okay, they are doing something. Is this a show and tell here? It feels like it. Once again, they are giving me tokens here. Tinker. Ooh, Tinker is good. Because they're at 4 life and they can Citadel, but I have cages in play and they may not realize that. So it's not very good. I guess they can get a Black Lotus here. Yeah, Citadel doesn't work, unfortunately. Yeah, they realize they're at the cage. Okay, so a nice win. I don't think my opponent was an experienced vintage player because I had Yavimaya Cradle and Growth, and they gave me a bunch of tokens. And despite only one of those tokens did matter, it allowed me to cast a second cage. But they gave us a bunch of them in the end there. And anyways, that said, we will take that Oath of Druids as a tough matchup. I feel really good about our sideboarding plan there, as both Cage and Caracas offered me a level of security against what I deem to be a very difficult matchup. And yeah, we will take that one. Overall, guys, deck performed really well. I did not miss Hogak at all. Yeah, very solid. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please take the time to subscribe, comment, like my video, all that stuff, guys. We'll see you next time.